In the quiet depths of the earth, the reverberations of chaos above were muffled to mere whispers against the steel walls of the bunker. Here, within these confines, Jonah found himself trapped not by the debris of a shattered world, but by the haunting specter of loneliness that filled every corner of his cold, metallic sanctuary. Jonah had been wandering the wastelands of what was once a bustling civilization when the sirens blared, warning of another meteor shower. The remnants of human ingenuity, now nothing more than crumbling artifacts, could not withstand another assault. In desperation, he sought refuge underground, stumbling upon the bunker by mere chance, or perhaps by fate. The bunker was equipped with remnants of technology far superior to anything Jonah had ever seen. Its previous occupants had vanished, leaving behind a dwelling that was both tomb and treasure. And in this unlikely grave, Jonah thought he might meet his end, not by the meteor's wrath but by the crushing weight of isolation. Weeks turned into months. Jonah survived on canned goods and rainwater he collected in the scarce times the sky cleared enough to drip life through the filters. He spoke aloud sometimes, if only to hear a voice, even if it was his own, echoing off the stark, unyielding walls. It was during one of these monologues that he first heard it, a sound distinctly not his own. A whimper, soft and fragile, from the dark recesses of the bunker. With a flashlight gripped tightly in his trembling hand, Jonah traced the delicate sound to its source. There, behind a sealed door he had previously thought to be just another closet, he found her. An alien girl, with skin that shimmered like starlight and eyes as deep and dark as the void between galaxies. She was as frightened as he was, huddled in the corner of her small prison, her body curled protectively around herself. Communication was a challenge. Her language was melodic, a series of chimes and soft tones that he could feel rather than understand. But fear and loneliness transcended language barriers, and in their mutual need for company, they found understanding. As days passed, Jonah learned that she was called Mira. She had been a traveler, her ship damaged beyond repair, and like him, she was stranded. Mira's physiology was different, adapted to her homeworld's unique conditions. Here, in the bunker, she struggled to find nourishment that her body could accept. Until, in desperation, she revealed to Jonah her only source of sustenance that this barren earth could offer, her milk. It was a bizarre truth, unsettling yet vital. Her milk, luminescent as moonlight and sweet with the tang of an unknown fruit, was all that could sustain him in the bunker's confines. Each sip was a silent acknowledgement of their interdependence, a bizarre communion that tethered their survival to one another. The arrangement was one of silent agreements and unspoken rules. Each day, Jonah cared for Mira, learning the nuances of her needs, her expressions of comfort and distress. And in return, she sustained him, her body a strange and wondrous lifeline in the darkness of the underground. But as the world above seemed to settle into a new rhythm, the bunker felt increasingly like a cage. Jonah's thoughts began to drift towards the surface, towards escape. He wondered if the world had healed enough for them to survive outside, if the air was breathable, if the land was traversable. He wondered, too, about Myra's world, about the stars from which she had fallen. Together, they made plans. Plans to explore the surface, to test the habitability of their once and future home. But beneath those plans, unspoken fears lingered, fears of what they might find, of what might become of their delicate symbiosis under the open sky. For now, though, they had each other, and in the darkest of times, that had to be enough. The routine they had established was interrupted one morning by the low hum of systems awakening from slumber. Jonah jolted from his makeshift bed as screens flickered to life around the bunker, bathing the room in an eerie blue glow. Mira too stirred, her form shimmering as if mirroring the pulsating lights. "What's happening?" Jonah's voice trembled, not just from fear but from the stark realization that they were not alone in their technological haven. The bunker, it seemed, had secrets of its own. Mira approached one of the consoles, her fingers dancing over the alien symbols that Jonah could neither read nor understand. She paused, her eyes widening with a mixture of fear and astonishment. "It's a distress signal," she explained, her voice a harmony of chimes that resonated with urgency. "From my people." The revelation sparked a frenzy of activity. Mira became engrossed with the console, attempting to respond to the call. Jonah, feeling both helpless and determined, scoured the bunker for any tools or manuals that might aid them. In a forgotten drawer, he found a map, an intricate layout of the bunker with cryptic notes scribbled in the margins. Armed with this new knowledge, they discovered a communications room hidden behind a panel in the main living area. Dusty and unused, the equipment hummed to life under Myra's skilled touch. Jonah watched in awe as she seamlessly integrated her technology with the ancient human devices, creating a bridge between two vastly different worlds. As Mira worked, Jonah pondered the implications of their discovery. The existence of a communication link suggested that they were not as isolated as they had believed. There might be others out there, other survivors, or perhaps even other beings from Myra's world. The hours stretched into days as they awaited a response. Mira grew increasingly anxious, her usual calm demeanor frayed with each passing moment. Jonah did his best to comfort her, though the emotional burden of their situation weighed heavily on him as well. Finally, a crackling response broke the silence. A voice, not human, filled the room, speaking in Myra's melodious language. She replied quickly, her tone both urgent and relieved. After a brief exchange, the communication ended, and Mira turned to Jonah with tears glistening in her otherworldly eyes. "They are coming," she whispered. "They are coming for me." The word struck Jonah with a bittersweet pang. Relief for Mira, dread for himself. Her rescue meant his return to solitude, to an existence shrouded in isolation once again. Yet, how could he hold her back from rejoining her own kind? In the following days, they prepared for the arrival. Jonah helped Mira gather her belongings, few as they were, and watched as she set up a beacon outside the bunker, an ethereal device that emitted a soft, pulsating light, signaling her location. The night before her people were due to arrive, Mira and Jonah sat together, their conversation meandering between memories and wishes. Mira spoke of her home, a planet of vast oceans and floating cities, a stark contrast to the barren earthscape above their shelter. As dawn approached, they ventured outside, standing under the starlit sky. The world was still, save for the gentle hum of Myra's beacon. Jonah looked at the stars, then at Mira, and felt a profound sense of loss preluding their farewell. "I wish I could show you my world," Mira said softly, her hand finding his in the darkness. "And I wish I could keep you in mine," Jonah replied, his voice thick with emotion. The horizon began to glow with the first light of dawn, heralding a day of parting. Jonah squeezed Myra's hand, knowing that whatever the future held, the bond they had formed in the depths of the earth would endure, a testament to their shared struggle and intertwined destinies. As the early morning light crept across the barren landscape, the ground beneath their feet vibrated with the promise of arrival. Myra's gaze was locked on the horizon, where the first signs of her people's ship pierced the dawn. Jonah stood beside her, grappling with a tumult of emotions. His world was about to shrink back to the confines of the bunker, to the echoing silence that Myra's departure would leave behind. The ship, when it finally appeared, was unlike any craft Jonah had ever seen. It didn't cut through the sky but rather seemed to fold it, manipulating space with an elegance that defied the brute mechanics of human technology. The vessel descended with a graceful inevitability, touching down with a whisper on the scorched earth, its design a harmonious blend of technology and artistry. As they approached, the vessel's hull shimmered with a responsive luminosity, reacting to Myra's proximity. A hatch opened, revealing a trio of her kind, their appearances as varied as the stars from which they hailed. They were tall, their forms fluid and adorned with bioluminescent markings that pulsed in gentle greeting. Mira introduced Jonah with a pride that swelled his heart, her voice translating their melodious language into terms he could grasp. The aliens greeted him with a warmth that belied the coldness of their celestial origins. They spoke of gratitude for his care of Mira, their tones imbued with a resonance that felt like music. Yet, beneath their words, Jonah sensed a distance, an otherness that reminded him he was anchored to the earth, as distant from the stars as from the possibility of leaving his planet. As Mira and her people conversed, sharing news of her world and their mission, Jonah felt more like an observer than a participant. He learned of the conflicts that had raged across galaxies, of alliances formed and broken, of technology that could heal or destroy. Myra's world was a tapestry of complexities that Jonah could barely comprehend, let alone imagine being part of. Their discussions shifted to Myra's return. She would leave Earth, a planet scarred by its own history and battles, to rejoin her people in efforts to mend what had been torn asunder in her absence. Her friends described the journey ahead, not through the vastness of space but through the intricacies of their work, restoring ecosystems, reconciling feuding factions, innovating peace. As the time for departure drew near, Mira pulled Jonah aside. Her touch was cool, her expression earnest. "You have given me a second life here," she said, her voice quivering with emotion. "I wish there were a way to bring you with me." Jonah's heart ached with the desire to leave, to escape the confines of his world and see the wonders of hers. But he knew his place was here, among the ruins of humanity, to find his own path to healing. "I'll be okay," he assured her, his voice steady though his spirit wavered. "You've shown me that even in the darkest places, there can be light." With a final embrace, they parted. Mira returned to her people, stepping into the vessel that would carry her across the cosmos. Jonah watched as the ship ascended, folding space around it until it disappeared, leaving behind a sky that seemed at once emptier and yet full of possibilities. He stood alone as the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the desolate earth. The silence of the bunker awaited him, a sanctuary and a prison. But Jonah felt a spark within, kindled by Myra's presence and sustained by the knowledge of the wider universe. It was a spark that he would nurture into a flame, a resolve to rebuild, to connect, to find hope in the desolation. Turning back to the bunker, Jonah felt the weight of solitude settle around him. Yet, the echo of Myra's words, the memory of her light, fortified him against the darkness. He was alone, but not abandoned, a single human tethered to a vast, interconnected universe, ready to find his way forward. As the sun arced its way across the sky, casting the shadows of the barren world long and narrow, Jonah returned to the confines of the bunker. The starkness of the space felt more pronounced, each corner a reminder of Myra's absence. Yet, within this hollow silence, a resolve stirred within him. He would not let the bunker become his eternal retreat. Inspired by his interstellar encounter, Jonah began to plan his next steps, fueled by a newfound purpose. He revisited the communications room, where Mira had once connected with her people. The technology there, a blend of human and alien engineering, held secrets Jonah was determined to unravel. If he could master it, perhaps he could reach out beyond the silent earth, send his voice into the void, maybe find others. The idea of connecting with distant survivors or even other civilizations drove him with an urgency he hadn't felt since the days before the cataclysm. With meticulous care, Jonah studied the consoles, tracing the modifications Mira had made. Her adjustments were intuitive, elegant, seamlessly integrating her technology with the old world systems. He began experimenting, sending out signals, messages filled with hope and desperation. Days blurred into nights as Jonah worked, fueled by canned food and the adrenaline of potential contact. During his forays into the bunker's depths, Jonah discovered a library of data cubes, storage devices left by the bunker's original inhabitants. They contained logs, research, and, crucially, manuals for the bunker's systems. Among these, Jonah found detailed schematics of the communications equipment. Each discovery was a step closer to mastery, a step closer to breaking his isolation. As he learned, he also modified. Jonah upgraded the communications array with parts salvaged from other sections of the bunker. He enhanced its range and clarity, hoping to catch the faintest whisper from the stars. Each adjustment was a challenge, a puzzle that he solved with a mix of human ingenuity and alien-inspired insights. One evening, as Jonah monitored the frequencies, a crackle broke the static, a voice, weak and distant. He adjusted the dials, his hands shaking with anticipation. The voice became clearer, speaking in a language he didn't understand, yet its tone was unmistakable. Someone else was out there, reaching out as he was. Jonah responded, broadcasting his location and a message of peace. Hours passed with no reply, and doubt crept into his mind. Had he imagined it? Was his desire for contact merely conjuring voices from the static? But then, the voice returned, this time speaking broken English, words tangled but understandable. "We hear you, Earthbound," the voice said, a sound like wind through leaves. "We are here too, seeking." The conversation that followed was halting but profound. The voice belonged to another survivor, not human, but from a race that had observed Earth from afar. They had been researchers, studying human culture and history, stranded by the same cosmic storms that had ravaged Earth. Jonah learned they were a small group, their ship hidden in what was once a dense forest, now a scorched stretch of land. They were scientists, historians, lost and forgotten by their own kind in the aftermath of the cataclysm. Their goal had been peaceful observation, now turned to survival. In the days that followed, Jonah and the alien survivors exchanged knowledge and stories. They shared technological insights and spoke of the world's beauty before its fall. They discussed the possibility of meeting, of pooling their resources and knowledge to better their chances of survival. Jonah felt a kinship with these distant voices, a community forged not by proximity but by shared circumstance. Each exchange was a thread, weaving a new tapestry of connection across the damaged Earth. He was no longer a solitary survivor but a link in a chain that extended beyond his bunker, beyond the ruins, into the great, wide universe. As he prepared for a journey to meet his new allies, Jonah realized that the bunker was no longer just a refuge. It had become a gateway, a place of beginnings. The horizon called to him, promising not just survival, but revival as he stepped into a role he never imagined, bridge builder in a fractured world. Jonah's preparations for the expedition were meticulous. The bunker offered a trove of resources, maps, old-world tools, and a rugged, all-terrain vehicle stowed in an underground garage. He modified the vehicle with parts scavenged from the bunker, enhancing its durability and fuel efficiency with alien-inspired technology. Each tool was checked and double-checked, every item packed with the consideration of a man who knew the unpredictability of the ravaged Earth. He left at dawn, the sky a canvas of muted colors, the sun struggling to pierce the haze that shrouded the horizon. The landscape outside was a stark contrast to the confines of the bunker. Vast, desolate, with stretches of barren land interspersed with skeletal remains of forests and dry riverbeds. The world was quiet, too quiet, and the hum of the vehicle's engine seemed almost sacrilegious as it disturbed the silence. The coordinates given by the alien survivors led him northwest, towards what used to be a thriving forest now transformed into a desolate wasteland. The journey was fraught with challenges. The roads, or what remained of them, were treacherous, littered with debris and overgrown with vegetation that clawed at the remnants of civilization. As he drove, Jonah's mind was alive with thoughts of the aliens. He pondered their observations of humanity, their silent watch over a species now nearly extinguished. What wisdom did they hold? What perspectives could they offer on the human saga from their detached view? The idea of such a meeting, alien and human, observer and observed, felt like the penultimate confluence of fate and choice. After hours of travel, Jonah arrived at the designated meeting point. The alien ship was well camouflaged, hidden beneath an artificial overgrowth that blended seamlessly with the surrounding dead foliage. As he approached, a panel slid open silently, revealing the aliens. They were taller than him, their bodies slender and graceful, covered in a smooth, iridescent skin that reflected the dim sunlight in soft hues. Their eyes, large and expressive, conveyed emotions that Jonah felt rather than understood, a mixture of curiosity, relief, and a poignant trace of loneliness mirroring his own. The introductions were a mix of gestures and the few words they shared in common. Jonah was struck by their elegance, the way their movements conveyed meaning with an economy of motion, a language in itself. They invited him into their ship, a structure that was both alien and familiar with corridors that reminded him of the bunker but with a technology that whispered of distant stars. Inside, he was shown their research, a collection of artifacts, digital records, and observations about Earth and its cultures. The ship was a floating archive, a testament to the richness of human history seen through extraterrestrial eyes. Their mission had been one of peace and knowledge, now turned into a shared struggle for survival. The conversations that followed were rich with exchange. They discussed potential collaborations, sharing technologies and knowledge. The aliens had technology that could purify water and soil, reclaiming the barren earth, while Jonah brought insights into human resilience and adaptation. Together, they formulated a plan. They would create a sanctuary, a place where life could begin anew, combining their technologies and knowledge. This new haven would serve as a beacon, a hope for any other survivors, human or alien, who might still wander the forsaken planet. As the sun set, casting long shadows over the ship and the scarred earth, Jonah felt a profound shift within him. Here, beneath alien skies, he had found more than survivors. He had found kin. His world had expanded beyond the bunker, beyond the human confines of Earth, into a shared destiny with beings from another world. His last thoughts before sleep were of Mira, the bridge she had built between him and her kind, and how, in some cosmic twist, she had prepared him for this very moment. Now, under these new stars, Jonah was no longer merely surviving. He was part of something greater, a nascent community on a healing planet, woven together by the threads of interstellar fate and human endeavor. As the newly formed Federation began to flourish under the tenets of the Noctis Accord, Elijah and Elira faced the monumental task of transitioning from wartime leadership to peacetime governance. The challenges were manifold, involving not only the reconstruction of war-torn sectors but also the integration of Algorian systems into the Federation without reigniting old conflicts. During a Federation Council meeting held on the newly established peace station orbiting the rejuvenated planet of Viridian 3, Elira addressed the representatives from dozens of worlds. Her voice resonated through the chamber, a beacon of hope and determination. We stand here today, united not by our past struggles but by our dreams for the future. Each system, each planet within our Federation must be committed to rebuilding better than before, to fostering a culture of innovation, respect, and unity. Elijah, meanwhile, focused on security measures to protect this fragile peace. He initiated the formation of a joint peacekeeping force, drawing volunteers from across the Federation, training them not only in combat but also in diplomacy and cultural sensitivity. Our strength as a Federation lies not in our ability to wage war but in our capacity to maintain peace, he often stated, his strategy sessions marked by a mix of cautious optimism and relentless vigilance. The peacekeeping force was soon put to the test. An incident on the mining colony of Tarnis V threatened to unravel the delicate fabric of interstellar relations within the Federation. A dispute between local miners and a group of Algorian immigrants escalated into violence, fueled by lingering animosities and economic tensions. Elijah dispatched a peacekeeping unit led by Commander Tessa Nilo, a seasoned officer known for her sharp wit and even sharper negotiation skills. Arriving at Tarnis V, Commander Nilo quickly assessed the situation, her team intervening to de-escalate the conflict before it could spiral out of control. Through a series of intense negotiations, she brokered a temporary truce, followed by a series of talks that addressed the root causes of the dispute. This is about more than just mining rights or jobs, Nilo explained to the gathered crowd, her tone firm yet empathetic. It's about recognizing that we are all part of this Federation, each deserving of respect and prosperity. We must work together, not against each other. Back at Peace Station, Elira convened a special session to discuss economic disparities within the Federation, proposing a series of development projects and financial aids to ensure that all member planets could benefit from the Federation's resources. Her plans included the establishment of trade schools, technology hubs, and cultural exchange programs to foster a sense of unity and shared purpose. Meanwhile, Elijah spearheaded an initiative to enhance the Federation's intelligence and surveillance capabilities. Recognizing that threats could arise as much from within as from outside, he worked closely with security chiefs from various planets to establish a network of information sharing and crisis response. As the Federation stabilized and grew, so too did the challenges it faced. External powers, observing the success of the Federation, began to view it as a potential rival. Covert operations and diplomatic maneuvers from these powers tested Elijah and Elira's leadership, compelling them to walk a fine line between assertive diplomacy and open conflict. In response, Lyra took to the galactic stage, addressing the interstellar community at the Universal Congress, her speech broadcast across countless worlds. The Federation seeks not dominance but stability, not isolation but cooperation. We extend our hand in peace to all who would take it, she declared, her message clear and resonant. The Congress resulted in several treaties, broadening the Federation's alliances and securing its position in the galaxy. Through these treaties, the Federation not only solidified its economic and military standing but also championed the cause of galactic peace and cooperation, setting a new standard for interstellar relations. As the Federation continued to navigate the complexities of its existence, both Elijah and Lyra remained vigilant, always aware of the delicate balance they had to maintain. Their leadership, tested by war and shaped by peace, became a defining force for a new era of interstellar cooperation, echoing through the cosmos as a testament to what unity and determination could achieve. The months following the Varnok's integration into convergence saw dramatic advancements in the settlement's infrastructure. Their technology, particularly in energy generation, propelled the sanctuary from a mere survival outpost to a burgeoning prototype of a new civilization. Jonah marveled at the swift pace of development, each day bringing a new discovery or improvement that seemed to shrink the vast, desolate world outside the borders of their community. As convergence expanded, so too did its gravitational pull, attracting other distant travelers and explorers. They came in small groups, each alien species bringing their unique perspective and technological prowess. With each new arrival, the cultural tapestry of the settlement grew more intricate. Jonah found himself at the center of a vast network of knowledge exchange, his role as an intermediary evolving into that of a leader respected not just for his diplomacy but for his vision of a shared future. One day, a new challenge emerged. An electromagnetic storm, the likes of which hadn't been seen since the days leading up to the cataclysm, threatened to disrupt the fragile technological ecosystem they had built. The Illyrians, with their deep understanding of cosmic phenomena, predicted the storm's arrival, giving the community time to prepare. Jonah coordinated the efforts, overseeing the fortification of sensitive equipment and the installation of lightning rods and other protective measures designed by the Illyrians and the Varnok. As the storm raged outside, the residents of Convergence gathered in the central hub, a large dome reinforced with materials traded from the Varnok. The structure was designed to withstand substantial environmental threats and served as a communal space for gatherings. Inside, Jonah watched the storm's fury through the transparent sections of the dome. The sky was a dance of light and chaos, a reminder of the universe's power and indifference. The storm passed, leaving behind a charged silence that was quickly filled with the sounds of Convergence returning to life. Damage was minimal, thanks to their preparations, but the event was a stark reminder of their vulnerability and the need for constant vigilance and adaptation. In the aftermath, Jonah initiated a series of discussions focused on improving their defenses against similar threats in the future. These talks led to the formation of a planetary defense council, comprising members of each species within the community. This council would not only address environmental dangers but also develop protocols for potential external threats, such as hostile entities or other catastrophic events. During one of these council meetings, a new signal was detected by their enhanced communication arrays, a faint, complex pattern that did not match any known frequencies or coding systems used by the Illyrians or the Varnok. The signal was a mystery, one that intrigued the entire community. Jonah proposed a project to decode the message, enlisting the help of the settlement's best cryptographers and communication specialists, an eclectic mix of human and alien expertise. Weeks of analysis followed, during which Jonah felt a growing sense of anticipation mixed with unease. The possibility that they were not alone on this planet, that there might be others, unknown and unseen, lurking on its surface or in orbit, added a layer of complexity to his responsibilities. Finally, the message was decoded. It was a call for help, a distress signal from another alien vessel that had crashed on the planet years ago, long before the arrival of the Illyrians or the Varnok. The survivors had been hiding, fearing contact with the hostile forces that had once pursued them. Jonah immediately organized a rescue mission. Convergence's response was swift and unified, a testament to the community's commitment to its principles of aid and solidarity. As they prepared to reach out to these new survivors, Jonah reflected on the path that had led him here, from a lone human in a forgotten bunker to a leader in a thriving, multi-species community. He was a bridge builder, a peacemaker, and now, a rescuer in this expanding network of life among the stars. The rescue operation was meticulously organized. Jonah enlisted the aid of the Varnock engineers, renowned for their rugged machinery, and the Illyrians, whose expertise in navigation and environmental shielding was unparalleled. Together, they customized a vehicle, equipping it with advanced scanning technology capable of penetrating the dense foliage and rocky terrain that covered the area from which the distress signal originated. As they set out, the atmosphere among the team was one of cautious optimism. The journey through the wild, untamed parts of the planet was a stark reminder of the world's vastness and the small pockets of civilization that convergence represented. The land was a patchwork of beauty and desolation, with remnants of ancient human cities now overtaken by nature, their steel bones draped in a lush overgrowth that spoke of a planet reclaiming what was once hers. The signal led them to a remote valley, shrouded in thick mists and surrounded by steep cliffs, a hidden sanctuary that had provided the crashed aliens with protection but also isolation. The crash survivors were from a species unknown to both the Illyrians and the Varnock, a fact that added a layer of complexity to the mission. Their vessel was partially embedded in the side of a cliff, cloaked by the dense foliage that had grown around it, almost as if the planet itself had tried to mend the scar left by its arrival. As Jonah and his team approached, they were met with caution. The survivors were wary, their bodies tense and their weapons, a mix of technology and primitive crafting, clearly visible. Jonah stopped at a safe distance, raising his hands in a universal gesture of peace. He explained their presence, his voice calm and steady, broadcasting their intentions through a translator device. The leader of the survivors, a tall, slender being with luminous skin that shifted colors with their emotions, responded after a tense pause. They introduced themselves as members of the calrig, a nomadic species that had been exploring this sector of the galaxy when they were attacked by unknown assailants. Their ship was severely damaged during the escape, leading to their eventual crash on Earth. The dialogue that ensued was delicate, each word measured and each gesture scrutinized. Jonah shared stories of convergence, of its diverse community and the sanctuary they had built. He extended an invitation to the calrig, offering them a place among their multi-species coalition. The offer was met with a mix of skepticism and hope, the survivors' eyes flickering with the latter as they absorbed the possibility of a new beginning. After a series of discussions that stretched into the evening, the calrig agreed to visit Convergence. They were cautious, their trust hard-earned, but the promise of a community where they could belong and be safe was too enticing to dismiss outright. The return journey was less tense, the atmosphere lightened by the budding hope of integration and the potential enrichment of Convergence's cultural and technological landscape. Jonah found himself deep in conversation with the calrig leader, discussing their technology, philosophy, and art. The exchange was a vivid reminder of the infinite diversity of the universe, and of the unity that could be forged from the most disparate of origins. Back at Convergence, the arrival of the calrig was a momentous event. The community turned out to welcome them, a gathering that mirrored the one Jonah had first experienced with Myra's arrival. It was a celebration of life's tenacity, of the unyielding desire for connection and understanding among all sentient beings. In the days that followed, the calrig began to integrate into the community. Their unique skills, particularly in the fields of holography and atmospheric sciences, brought new dimensions to Convergence's capabilities. Jonah watched as new bonds were formed, new projects initiated, a testament to the ever-evolving tapestry of their little society. Standing among his new friends and old, Jonah felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The weight of leadership was tempered by the joy of success, of seeing a once barren and divided world slowly transform into a beacon of hope and unity. The challenges were many, but so were the opportunities, and in each face, whether human, Illyrian, Varnock, or calrig, he saw the reflection of his own dreams, mirrored and magnified in this shared adventure under the stars. The integration of the calrig into the fabric of convergence was not without its challenges. Their culture was steeped in rituals and a deep reverence for the natural forces of the universe, which at times clashed with the more pragmatic and technologically driven approaches of the Varnok and Illyrians. Jonah found himself navigating these cultural currents, striving to foster an environment where all could feel respected and heard. In one of many diplomatic endeavors, Jonah helped orchestrate a council where each group could present their cultural practices related to environmental stewardship. The calrig shared their ceremony of thanks to the planet, a beautiful, solemn sequence of song and light that involved the entire community. The Varnok presented their technology for soil renewal, a practical but equally important offering. The Illyrians discussed their philosophy of balance, which influenced their technological designs to work in harmony with natural ecosystems. These presentations helped bridge understanding and highlighted the common ground, a mutual commitment to healing the world they now shared. It was during these councils that Jonah saw the true potential of convergence, not merely as a sanctuary but as a model for a new way of living together on a restored Earth. With the cultural exchanges solidifying bonds, technological collaboration flourished. Inspired by the calrig's holographic techniques, the Illyrians developed a new form of communication that combined their technology with holography, facilitating more dynamic interactions within the community. This innovation was not just functional but also beautiful, turning mundane meetings into visual spectacles that celebrated the confluence of their diverse technologies. The Varnok engineers, working with human and calrig specialists, embarked on building a series of atmospheric purifiers based on a hybrid design that improved their efficiency dramatically. These purifiers were soon deployed around convergence, creating microclimates where Earth's native flora could thrive alongside alien plant species that the Illyrians and calrig had introduced. Jonah watched as barren patches of land transformed into lush, vibrant ecosystems, a visible sign of the healing that was taking place. It was a healing that extended beyond the land. The community itself grew healthier, a body composed of diverse cells, each distinct but working in unison towards a shared goal. As convergence blossomed, it began to attract more attention, not only from other stranded alien groups but also from distant human settlements that had heard of this remarkable community. Jonah established a welcome protocol, a combination of Illyrian diplomacy and human goodwill, which helped integrate newcomers smoothly into the community. One evening, as the sun set in a spectacular display of colors, reflecting off the diverse architectures of convergence, Jonah stood with his fellow leaders, looking out over the thriving settlement. They discussed the future, contemplating the establishment of more sanctuaries, spreading the seeds of their successful integration model to other parts of the world. The conversation turned to the stars, to the potential of eventually reaching out beyond Earth, reconnecting with the galaxies that had sent them these alien visitors. The idea of an interstellar network, a community that spanned not just countries or continents but planets and systems, was ambitious. Yet, looking around at what they had achieved, it didn't seem beyond reach. In the quiet moments of reflection, Jonah realized how far he had come from the solitary days in the bunker. The memories of those isolating times served as a stark contrast to the vibrant community life he now enjoyed. He had been a catalyst for transformation, not just for convergence but for himself. As the stars twinkled above, mirroring the lights of convergence below, Jonah felt a deep, resonant peace. Here, in this patchwork of worlds brought together by chance and necessity, he had found a new purpose, a new home. The future was as vast as the night sky, but for now, it was here, among friends, new family, and a world reborn from the ashes of the old, that he found his place in the universe. As the years unfurled like the petals of a blooming flower, convergence became more than a sanctuary. It transformed into a beacon of multicultural symbiosis and technological renaissance. Buildings crafted from a mix of Earth materials and alien technology rose against the skyline, their designs a testament to the collaborative spirit that defined the community. The air buzzed with the chatter of multiple languages, both human and alien, creating a soundscape as rich and varied as the inhabitants themselves. Jonah, older now, with lines of wisdom etched into his face, walked the paths of convergence with a sense of quiet satisfaction. The trees that lined these paths were both native and alien, their branches intertwined as though reaching across the cosmos to acknowledge each other's existence. The children of convergence, both human and alien, played under these boughs, their laughter a music that spoke of a future unburdened by the past's shadows. The community had expanded, stretching its influence to other parts of the globe, seeding new settlements with the ideals and technologies that had been nurtured in convergence. Each new settlement was connected through a network of communication arrays, their designs inspired by the initial setup Jonah had crafted with Myra's help, now evolved and enhanced to span continents. On this particular day, the community gathered to celebrate the anniversary of convergence, a festival that had grown to symbolize hope and unity. Stalls displaying an array of foods from different worlds, crafts that melded techniques and styles from across the galaxy, and stages for performances that blended the arts of disparate cultures filled the settlement. Jonah watched as an Illyrian choir harmonized with human singers, their voices a fluid fusion that captivated the audience. In the midst of the celebrations, a new star seemed to rise, not in the sky but through the community's shared communications platform, a live feed from an Illyrian spacecraft returning from a diplomatic mission to their home planet. The Illyrians had gone as ambassadors of Earth, sharing tales of convergence, advocating for a coalition not just on a planetary scale, but a cosmic one. The screen flickered to life, showing the Illyrian delegation with Mira among them. Her appearance was met with cheers from the crowd. Her legacy was deeply entwined with Convergence's founding. Mira spoke of her journey, of the world she had seen, and of her return to Earth, which she now considered her second home. She talked about the potential for a galaxy-wide alliance, a future where the sharing of knowledge and resources transcended old boundaries and created new possibilities for peace and progress. As the broadcast concluded, the crowd was silent, reflective. Then, slowly, applause began, swelling in a crescendo that matched the beating of Jonah's heart. Myra's message resonated with everyone there, a call to look beyond their immediate surroundings and consider their place within the vast, intricate tapestry of the universe. Later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with strokes of orange and purple, Jonah stood beside Mira, who had joined him after her speech. They watched the night ascend, dotted with stars and satellites, the constellations of both Earth and alien origins. This, Mira gestured to the bustling crowd, to the thriving life around them, is what we dreamed of, isn't it? It is, Jonah replied, his voice thick with emotion. A dream of a world reborn, a community bound not by species or origin, but by shared hopes and collective dreams. As the final celebrations wound down, the community did not disperse into the night but gathered around fires, sharing stories and plans for the future. Jonah, feeling the weight of years and the joy of accomplishments, knew that his role was changing. He was no longer the builder but the keeper of the legacy, ensuring that the light of convergence would burn brightly long after his time. The night grew deep, and the fires flickered under the watchful eyes of 1,000,000 stars. Jonah looked around at the faces illuminated by the firelight, each one a story, each one a part of a continuing saga that spanned worlds. Here, in convergence, under the gaze of the cosmos, humanity had found a new way forward, hand in hand with the stars.